unlock your world one word at a time, because language isn't just about learning, it's about living. Let's get started. My wonderful listeners, welcome back to the Languages Pedagogy Podcast. Today we've got a profound, eye-opening, and perhaps slightly controversial topic on our hands. Breaking the native speaker myth. Are native speakers or native teachers really better? This episode will dig deep into one of the longest-standing misconceptions in the world of language education. The belief that native speakers make inherently better teachers than non-native speakers. But here's the thing. Teaching is not just about being able to speak a language fluently. It's about explaining it, breaking it down, understanding learners' struggles, and guiding them step by step with empathy, structure, and passion. Over the next several minutes, we'll embark on an expansive journey together. We'll explore the following: the origins of the native speaker bias. Where did this idea even come from? The common misconceptions surrounding native and non-native teachers. How methodology, qualifications, and passion outweigh native fluency in effective teaching. The unique strength that non-native teachers bring to the classroom. The impact on hiring practices and institutional biases, and what can be done to change them. Real-life stories and insights from both teachers and students around the world. Actionable advice for learners, choosing their teachers embracing their strength, and institution hiring staff. This isn't just about debunking a myth. It's about celebrating diversity, breaking down barriers, and creating a language learning community where every teacher is valued for their unique strengths, not judged by their passport. So whether you're a language learner, a teacher, an institution leader, or simply someone passionate about languages, this episode is for you. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and let's begin this journey together.
Audio Jungle.
Let's begin with a fundamental question. Why do people assume native speakers make better teachers? Where does this idea come from? To understand this, we have to go back in time. Historically, language education was heavily influenced by colonialism. Colonial powers established schools where their native languages, English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, were taught as superior and prestigious. Native speakers of those colonial languages were seen as the ideal role models because they embodied the culture, the accent, and the purity of the language. Fast forward to the modern era, and these biases persist. Even in globalized, multicultural societies, where often a deep-seated preference for native-speaking teachers, especially in English language teaching. Job advertisements still say things like native speakers only, or must have a native accent. But what does native speaker even mean? Someone born into the language? Someone who grew up speaking it? What about people who are bilingual from birth? What about someone who learned English at 5 and speaks it better than someone born in an English-speaking country? The concept of native speaker is murky at best, and basing teacher qualification on such a vague idea is deeply flawed. The next question we must ask is this: what makes a good language teacher? Is it the ability to speak fluently and flawlessly? Or is it the ability to explain grammar rules clearly, break down complex concepts into manageable pieces, and create an environment where students feel confident to try, fail, and grow? When we look at it this way, it's clear that being a native speaker is not a teaching qualification. It's just a linguistic background. Imagine this scenario. You're trying to learn Japanese. You have two teacher options. One, a native Japanese speaker who's never taught before but speaks fluently. Or two, a non-native teacher who speaks Japanese fluently but also knows your native language and has a teaching degree with 10 years of experience. Who do you think will be more effective in helping you understand grammar, overcome pronunciation challenges, and gain confidence? This isn't to say that native speakers can be excellent teachers. Many are. But their effectiveness comes from their teaching skills, not just their native fluency. Now, let's talk about methodology. Great teachers are not born, they're trained. Teaching is a craft and it involves understanding pedagogy, learning styles, cultural sensitivity, and the psychology of language acquisition. Non-native teachers often bring something incredibly valuable to the table. They've been through the process themselves. If you're learning Spanish from someone who had to learn it as a second language, they'll understand your struggles. They'll know exactly what it feels like to mix up ser and estar, or to struggle with rolling your R's. They'll have strategies, empathy, and insights that a native speaker might not have because they've never had to learn the language themselves. There's also something incredibly inspiring about learning from someone who has achieved fluency as a second language. It shows you that it's possible. But here's where things get tricky. Institutional bias. Many schools and institutions continue to prioritize native speakers in their hiring process, often sidelining highly qualified non-native teachers. This isn't just unfair, it's harmful. It deprives students of excellent educators and reinforces harmful stereotypes. Institutions need to shift their focus from "where are you from" to "what can you do as teacher?" Now let me share some stories. Let's start with this one. Anna. Anna is a Russian English teacher with a CELTA certificate and master's degree in applied linguistics. Despite her qualifications, she struggled to find work because employers prefer native speakers. But once she got a chance, her students thrived under her guidance because she understood their struggles and explained complex grammar with clarity. Anna is one of the most brilliant teachers I ever met, to be honest. I still remember her, and when I actually just got to meet her in Neftekhimsk, Russia, she was an excellent, really excellent teacher. She actually made the kids really love the language and to learn more. She was actually feeling it. This is something that I barely see in native speakers. And I'm not saying that they're not good, of course not, but this is something that you really are, like, as a teacher, you're really proud of. And another story is about James, another teacher, friend of mine as well, an American who teaches English in Thailand. He admits that he often feels like an imposter because he lacks formal training in language teaching. His fluency doesn't always translate into effective lessons, and he's had to learn pedagogy on the job. These stories highlight an important truth. Being a native speaker is not a guarantee of teaching ability, and being a non-native speaker doesn't mean you are less capable. Language learners also have a role to play in breaking this myth. Learners need to focus on finding teachers who understand their needs, create supported environments, and have the right teaching skills, regardless of their native language. So, how do we move forward? For learners, choose teachers based on their skills, not their nationality. For educators, embrace your unique strengths, whether you're a native or non-native. For institutions, revise hiring policies to prioritize qualifications and experience over native fluency. As we near the end of this conversation, let me leave you with one final thought. Language is about connection, not perfection. Great teachers are great because they inspire, empower, and guide their students, regardless of whether they learn the language as a child or as an adult. And hold on a second, before we actually head into the final part of this great episode, I just want to remind you that new episodes drop every Monday and Friday, so make sure to tune in weekly for your dose of thought-provoking conversations. You can also find our show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Don't forget to pay a visit to our website, mikeenglishonline.com, where you're going to find tons of resources, not only for teachers, but also for learners. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and follow us for more. And thank you for joining me today. This has been one of the most important conversations we've had on this podcast, and I hope it sparks change in how we think about language teachers, in how we hire them, and in how we value them. Until next time, stay curious, stay open-minded, and remember, good teachers change lives, no matter where they're from.